The first time Ilara saw the shadow's eyes, they were staring back at her from inside her own mirror. It wasn't her reflection, at least not entirely. Her features were there, faint and ghostly in the glass. But behind her pupils, something else blinked. Something too slow, too deliberate. She froze in the dim candlelight of her attic room. The old mirror, framed in tarnished silver, had belonged to her grandmother, a woman who had whispered strange warnings before her death. Warnings Ilara had never taken seriously. Now she couldn't look away. The other, Hearn, smiled. Ilara, it breathed, though the sound came not from the glass but from the air around her, brushing against her ear. Her stomach nodded. What are you? The smile in the glass widened, and the edges of the room seemed to fade, as though the darkness was bleeding outward from the mirror. Shadows deepened, curling like ink in water. You've been living on the wrong side, the reflection whispered. The veil is thinning. I can help you cross. She stumbled backward, knocking over the candle. The flame died instantly, plunging the attic into pitch black. For a moment she thought she was alone. Then she heard it, soft, dragging steps, impossibly close. The mirror should have been against the wall, but the sound came from right in front of her. Her fingers fumbled for matches, striking one. The light flared, too bright, and she gasped. The mirror was gone. In its place was an archway, its frame the same tarnished silver, but now filled with a thick, rolling mist. And in the mist shapes moved, tall, thin things that swayed unnaturally, their limbs too long, their heads tilting as if listening. Ilara's heart pounded. She should run. She knew she should run. But there was a pull, an almost magnetic pull, urging her closer. Her grandmother's voice seemed to echo in her head. When the veil opens, you must not look into the eyes of what calls you. But it was too late. A hand, black as soot and cold as stone, slid out from the mist and brushed her cheek. Her breath caught in her throat. Come and see, the voice coaxed, the same one from the mirror. Ilara took a step forward. The mist swallowed her whole. The mist was cold enough to burn. Ilara's breath came out in quick clouds as she stumbled forward, arms outstretched. The ground beneath her feet felt wrong, too smooth, too cold, and it pulsed faintly, like she was standing on the skin of something alive. When the fog finally thinned, she found herself in a vast, dim corridor. The walls stretched upward into blackness, lined with hundreds, maybe thousands of mirrors, each framed in the same tarnished silver as her grandmother's. But none of the mirrors showed her reflection. Instead, every surface shimmered with shadows, faces and figures, moving as if trapped just behind the glass. They stared out at her, their mouths moving in silent, desperate shapes. Ilara, the whisper was faint, but it came from every direction at once. She spun around, heart pounding. The shadows in the mirrors weren't just watching, they were speaking. Their voices wove together into a low, continuous hiss like wind through dead leaves. Ilara, find the key. Before it finds you. She backed away from the nearest mirror, but the figure inside pressed closer to the glass, its hands flattening against the surface. Its face was gaunt, eyes wide with terror. What key? She whispered. The shadow's mouth moved faster, but no sound came. And then, without warning, it slammed its fist against the glass. A crack spread like a spiderweb. The hiss of whispers stopped. The entire corridor went silent. Something was moving in the distance. It was slow at first, almost lazy, soft scraping footsteps against the cold floor. But the sound grew sharper, closer, each step echoing like it came from inside her skull. The mirrors began to darken one by one, their surfaces swallowing the faces inside. The light, if there had been any, dimmed, and the end of the corridor became nothing but a black void. Ilara. The voice that spoke now was deeper, heavier, and much closer. I've been waiting. Her legs trembled. She ran. Her footsteps shattered the silence. And as she passed the mirrors, the figures inside reached for her, their fingers pressing so hard against the glass that it warped. She didn't dare look back. At the far end of the hall, something glimmered faintly. A small silver key hanging from a hook embedded in the wall. It swung gently, though there was no wind. Her hand stretched toward it, and a long clawed hand shot out of the darkness, curling around the key before she could touch it. The whispers began again, louder now, and they weren't warning her anymore. They were laughing. The clawed hand withdrew into the dark, the silver key glinting one last time before disappearing completely. Ilara froze, her own fingers still outstretched, trembling. The laughter from the mirrors swelled, becoming almost unbearable, like dozens of voices pressing against her eardrums. A figure emerged from the void. It was tall, so tall its head nearly vanished into the black above, and draped in a tattered cloak that seemed woven from the same mist she had stepped through. The fabric shifted and writhed as if alive, revealing glimpses of something skeletal beneath. Its face, if it had one, was hidden behind a mask of polished obsidian, featureless except for two slits where eyes should be. Through them burned a faint, unnatural light, pale and cold as moonlit ice. The voice that came from it wasn't spoken aloud. It echoed directly in her mind. "You are not meant to be here." Alara swallowed hard. "Give me the key." A pause. The shadows on the wall seemed to lean closer. "This key opens the gate," the keeper said. "To take it is to choose a side. But you are not ready." Her chest tightened. "Then make me ready." The keeper tilted its head as if amused or perhaps pitying her. "The veil between your world and mine thins because something is pushing through. Once the gate opens, it will not close. Not until one world consumes the other." Alara's mind raced. "Then why bring me here?" "I didn't." The word struck cold. If the keeper hadn't pulled her into this place, then who had? Before she could ask, the mirrors behind her began to hum. Not whisper, hum. A deep resonating vibration that made the floor tremble. The keeper's mask turned toward them. "It's coming." The hum grew louder and one of the mirrors shattered inward, sending shards spilling across the black floor. From the jagged opening crawled something thin and pale, its body twisting in unnatural jerks. It had no eyes, yet it moved as though it could see her perfectly. The keeper stepped between her and the creature, the mist of its cloak thickening into sharp spine tendrils. "You will go," it told her. "Through the left passage. Do not look back." Alara hesitated, but the pale creature let out a sound, a horrible, shrill wail that made her vision blur. She ran, the echoes of its voice chasing her into a narrow side corridor. Behind her, the keeper's voice followed, deep and steady. "Find the gate before it does, or there will be no veil left to save." The corridor twisted downward, winding like the throat of some enormous beast. The air grew heavier with each step, thick with a scent like burnt metal and damp earth. When Alara finally emerged, she found herself standing at the edge of a city, if it could be called that. The streets were paved with obsidian, slick and glistening as though wet. Buildings rose like jagged teeth, their surfaces covered in shifting runes that pulsed faintly in the dark. There was no sky above, only a ceiling of swirling shadow, endlessly moving, as if the city was trapped inside a giant living storm. And there was no sun, no moon, no stars. The only light came from the runes, and the occasional flicker of pale fire burning in iron cages along the streets. Figures moved through the city, tall, thin beings with faces hidden by bone masks, their robes whispering as they walked. They didn't glance at her, though she felt their attention like a prickling at the back of her neck. She stepped cautiously into the main road, her footsteps echoing too loudly in the strange silence. "Lost?" The voice was soft, coming from a shadowed alley. A boy stepped into the dim light. He couldn't have been older than 16, with dark, unruly hair and eyes that seemed almost human, almost. There was a faint silver glow in them, like moonlight caught in glass. "You don't belong here," he said. Alara crossed her arms. "And you do?" He smirked faintly. "Born here. My name's Kale. I saw you come through the veil. Not many do without the keeper's blessing." "I didn't exactly get an invitation," she muttered. "I'm looking for the gate." Kale's smirk faded. "The gate isn't just a door, it's alive. And if you're here, it's already looking for you." Before she could ask what he meant, a deep horn blared somewhere in the city. The ground vibrated and the sky above shifted, the shadows swirling faster. Kale's expression darkened. "Patrols. We need to move." They darted through narrow side streets, the sound of heavy boots growing louder. From the corner of her eye, Alara saw them, towering armored figures with hollow black faces. Their weapons were jagged blades that seemed to drip with shadow. Kyle led her into an abandoned tower, its spiral staircase crumbling underfoot. At the top, he pushed aside a warped wooden door to reveal a small room, lit by a single silver lantern. From his pocket, he pulled out something small and metallic, a fragment of the silver key she had seen earlier. "I think," he said quietly, "you're here to finish what my mother started." Alara stared at the fragment in Kale's palm. It was cold, yet it seemed to pulse faintly like a heartbeat. What do you mean? Your mother started this? She asked. Cale's jaw tightened. She was one of the few who tried to destroy the gate. The keeper guards it, but it can't destroy it. Only someone from your side can. She crossed the veil, found the key, and his voice faltered. She didn't come back. Ilara's pulse quickened. So the rest of the key is still with the keeper, Cale finished. But if you want to reach it, you'll have to pass through the gate's chamber. And it's awake. A deep, distant sound reverberated through the tower walls like the slow, labored inhale of something enormous. Cale handed her the fragment. When the pieces join, the gate will open. Whether it opens to destroy or consume, that's up to you. They moved quickly, slipping through forgotten tunnels beneath the city. The air grew hotter the deeper they went until the walls themselves seemed to sweat. That sound, the breathing, grew louder. Finally, they reached a cavern. The gate stood at its center. It wasn't just a door, it was alive. A massive arch of black stone, its surface stretched with a membrane that swelled and sank with every breath. Veins of pale light pulsed through it, and an eye, huge, lidless, opened in the center, fixing on Ilara. Her knees almost gave out. The air around the gate seemed to press inward, heavy and suffocating. From the shadows, the keeper emerged, holding the rest of the silver key. You should not be here, it said, voice deep as the earth. Ilara stepped forward. Give it to me. You think you can close what was never meant to be closed? The keeper asked. If the gate dies, so does this world. Cale's voice was sharp. If it lives, my world dies. The gate's breathing quickened. The air trembled. Something vast stirred beyond it. Ilara didn't hesitate. She lunged, grabbing the key from the keeper's hand. The silver fragments fused instantly, a blinding light erupting from the seam. The gate shrieked, a sound not of metal or stone, but of something alive in agony. Its membrane tore open, revealing a swirling void beyond. Wind howled, pulling at everything in the cavern. Ilara, Cale shouted. Now! She hurled the key into the void. The gate convulsed, the breathing stopped, and the light went out. Silence fell. When Ilara looked up, the keeper was gone. The cavern was empty, except for her and Cale. And somewhere in the distance, a single slow inhale began again,